Today, we're diving into something huge, how to build habits that actually stick. And the secret is, it has nothing to do with discipline. Let's get right into it.
So let me just ask you this right off the bat. Do you think the one thing standing between you and changing your life, finally getting in shape or writing that book, is just needing more discipline, more raw willpower?
Well, what if I told you that whole idea is a complete myth? Seriously, it's probably one of the biggest misunderstandings out there when it comes to making real, lasting change. So first, we have to talk about what I call the great discipline myth. It's this idea that we've all been sold, that the only way to get ahead is through pure grit and just forcing ourselves to do things. But here's the thing, the most successful people know. They don't actually rely on discipline to get through their day. They understand that willpower is a finite resource. It's like a muscle that gets totally exhausted. And if your whole system for success is built on something that just runs out when you're stressed or tired, well, you're basically planning to fail.
That brings us to our next point, why willpower almost always fails us in the long run. And hey, if this starts to sound a little too familiar, that's a good thing. It just means you are definitely not alone in this.
I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? January 1st, you're all in. This is going to be my year. You're at the gym, you're eating salads, and then, life happens. By the time February rolls around, that motivation is gone and the habit is gone with it. So why does that keep happening?
Well, there's a real scientific reason for this, and it's called ego depletion. The easiest way to think about it is like your phone battery. Every single decision you make all day, from resisting that cookie to focusing on a tedious report to not losing your cool in traffic, it all drains that battery. So by the end of the day, you've got absolutely nothing left in the tank to force yourself to go for that run.
And this is why relying on willpower is like trying to build a house on quicksand. Yeah, it might hold up for a little while when everything's perfect. But the second life gets a little shaky, a bad day at work, a family issue, the entire thing just sinks.
Okay, so if willpower is the trap, then what's the way out? This is where we pivot. The secret isn't to just try harder, it's to build smarter. It's all about focusing on your systems, not just your goals.
This quote from James Clear, who wrote the book Atomic Habits, is the absolute heart of this whole idea. Think about it. Your goals don't actually determine if you succeed. Your ambitions are great, but it's your daily systems, the automatic things you do without thinking, that decide what happens when your motivation disappears.
So how do these systems even work in our brains? It turns out every single habit you have, whether it's good or bad, follows this same four-step loop. First, there's a cue, or a trigger, like your phone buzzing. That leads to a craving, the desire to see what the notification is. The response is the habit itself, picking up the phone. And finally, the reward is that little bit of satisfaction you get, which tells your brain, hey, that felt good, let's do it again. The trick is to hijack this loop and design it on purpose.
All right, let's get practical. How do you actually build these automatic habits? This next part is your toolkit. We're going to go through some really powerful, simple strategies to make new habits feel almost effortless.
First up, we have the 2-minute rule. This is so simple. You just shrink your new habit down into something that takes less than 2 minutes to do. So instead of I have to go for a 30-minute run, your new habit is just put on my running shoes. Instead of read for an hour, it's just read 1 page. You see, a habit has to be established before it can be improved. This makes starting, which is always the hardest part, so easy it feels kind of silly not to do it.
Next is habit stacking. Now this one is just brilliant because you're using the momentum you already have. You don't need a new reminder, you just bolt your new habit onto an old one. So the formula is, after I, current habit, I will, new habit. For example, after I brush my teeth, I will floss 1 tooth. Or, after I pour my morning coffee, I will write 1 sentence in my journal. You're literally creating a chain reaction of good habits. Okay, strategy number 3 might be my favorite. Environment design. The truth is, your environment is way more powerful than your motivation will ever be. Just look at this. You want to eat healthier? Don't just buy fruit, put it in a bowl right on the counter where you can't miss it. At the same time, take the junk food and hide it in the back of the pantry. Want to work out in the morning? Put your gym shoes right next to your bed. You're not fighting temptation anymore, you're just making it disappear. You're making the good habits the path of least resistance.
And here are a few more really quick ones. There's the Goldilocks rule. Make sure your new habit is just hard enough to be satisfying, but not so hard that you quit. Automate whatever you can, like setting up automatic transfers to your savings. Create an immediate reward for yourself so your brain links the habit with pleasure. And finally, this one is a game changer. Focus on your identity.
This right here is a really profound mental shift. The goal isn't just to perform a habit, it's to become the type of person who does that habit. You stop saying things like, I'm trying to run more, and you start thinking, I am a runner. Every time you lace up your shoes, even for 2 minutes, you're casting a vote for that new identity. And that makes it so much easier to stick with it for good.
So let's pull all of this together. We can actually boil all of these strategies down into one simple, super memorable formula for building any habit you want without needing an ounce of discipline.
Here it is. It's 4 parts. First, make the habit tiny. That's your 2-minute version. Second, link it to a clear cue. That's your habit stack. Third, set up an easy environment that pushes you in the right direction. And fourth, give yourself an immediate reward to make your brain happy. That's it. That's the whole recipe.
And let's look at how this plays out with a real example. Let's say you want to start doing push-ups, okay? Your tiny habit isn't 50 push-ups, it's just 5. The clear cue? You'll do them right after you brush your teeth every morning. You design your environment by keeping a yoga mat rolled up in the bathroom, so it's right there. And the immediate reward? Yeah, it might sound a little silly, but something as simple as looking at yourself in the mirror and giving yourself a high five actually works. It creates a positive feeling that your brain wants to repeat.
Which really brings us to the single most important takeaway from all of this. Success isn't about being some kind of superhero with unlimited self-control. It's about being an architect. It's about designing a life where doing the right thing is also the easiest thing to do.
So I'll leave you with this question. Just for a moment, forget about discipline. Forget about motivation. What is one habit, just one, that you can make a tiny bit easier today? Because that is where real, lasting change always begins.